Let's have some fun with the Adobe Illustrator CC Rectangular Grid Tool. Okay, here we are in Illustrator. I've got a blank screen. It's like 8.5 by 11, just for fun. No real reasons for that. And I'm going to close some of these panels, and you can find the Rectangular Grid Tool hidden under the Straight Line tool. It's the fourth one down. And I'll go down and click it. Or if you want to play with all of your tools all of the time, of course, you can click this little thingy right here, and they all stay open. So pretty much the rectangular grid tool is going to be based on stroke color. And just for the heck of it, I'm going to choose black. And then I click my grid tool, and it's as simple as holding the mouse button down and dragging. And your grid may not look like my grid. That's okay. But if you want a perfect, it's a rectangle or a square. If you want a perfect rectangle, you would hold the shift key down. That'll give you a perfect square. Or you can just freelance it and do it like this. And you can see there are vertical lines and horizontal lines. You can increase vertical lines or horizontal lines by, okay, you can decrease horizontal lines by using the down arrow. That will give you less lines. If you want no horizontal lines, you can just hit that little down arrow until they all go away. If you want to increase horizontal lines, then you use your up arrows. And the same is true, kind of, sort of. I have the mouse button down all of this time. If you let go of the mouse button, you have what you have when you let go. For vertical lines, it's the left arrow to decrease lines, and you can make them all go away, but just by clicking. And to increase your vertical lines, that would be the right arrow. And then when you let go, that's what you have, this nice little grid right here. Now there's another way. If you need to be very precise about what you want, let me highlight all of this and delete. If you want to be very precise about what you want, if you know the width and height of what you want, and if you know the number of vertical and horizontal lines that you want, well, of course, there's a way to do that. If I just select the grid tool from my toolbar here or from over here, and if I just click on the screen, well, for width, I can set the width. I might choose 400 points, go down to height, and maybe I'll make that 400 points. And note down here, it says horizontal dividers, vertical dividers. Oh, what the heck. I'm going to put in like 10 horizontal dividers, and I'm going to put in 5 of the other ones, and I'm just going to click OK. And it gives me exactly what I was looking for. Now, these are all pretty even squares, but if I undo that creation and I click right here, notice the option to skew vertical or skew horizontal. Well, let's see what the skew does. I'm going to take skew. Too much of anything is bad, so I'm going to go to 10%, and you can see what happens. The horizontal lines start out close, and then they expand. And you can see this one is small, this one is large. That is what skew does. And if I delete and I go back and click again to get back to default so that that skew doesn't happen. I might just take that to 0 and click OK. And now the next time we're all back to normal. Now this is all one object, so to speak, but if you click on the grid, well, my fill is to the my stroke is in the front. I can of course increase stroke in the stroke panel. I can change color of the entire grid with stroke here in the front. But if I use the white arrow tool, then I can select individual paths and change the colors of individual strokes. Make that one yellow. Okay, and the same is true with my horizontal lines. Now the thing is, I'm going to click here. You can actually drag the lines, and I'm using the white arrow tool. If you go to the black arrow tool, that is going to select the entire grid. If I go to the black arrow tool and click on this outside line, of course, then I can bring fill to the front and apply a fill color. But with the white arrow tool, I click away to deselect, then I can select individual paths and I can actually drag them around within the grid, or I can drag them outside of the grid. And then going back to the black arrow tool, this is still one object, even though I've dragged these lines outside of the boundaries of the grid, and I can move the grid around. But of course, perhaps you want to manipulate all of these things kind of individually, and then if you use the black arrow tool, click on the perimeter so that everything is selected. Then you can go object, ungroup, object, ungroup until you can't ungroup anymore. And now if I deselect and click on this line or this line, then I can drag those around individually. The only problem I find with this is that the perimeter is always a rectangle or a square, depending on how you developed it. And it's kind of does its own thing all of the time. So if you click the rectangle, you can move it out of the way, and then you just have your individual paths and anchor points. So that is that's my overview of the rectangular grid tool. Enjoy it.